All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Sorry we started a few minutes late here. We're trying to get everything working from a social distancing standpoint. Welcome. Thanks for coming. I'm Nick Dokic, and this is the second episode of Cutting Through the Noise, our webinar series on communication. Right now, we're going to be focusing on coronavirus times and how to best communicate with your internal and external people. Just want to thank everyone who is here with us right now. Behind me, I have Tom Burke, the VP of HR at JTM. He's going to talk to us about their internal communication strategy and challenges right now for them at JTM on this Good Friday. Then after that, we'll as I'm moderating, I'm going to pass it over to Doug Goodwin, and he's going to talk a little bit more about external communication. This session should last around 30 minutes or so. Please, if you have any questions, to the right-hand side, there is a chat box where you can go in there and ask a question. Looks like Kelly Camp already have asked one. So, please feel free to go ask any questions that you might have during that. I'm going to get started. So, Tom, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Tom Burke, Vice President of Human Resources for JTM Food Group, which is out in Harrison, Ohio.
Thank you. So, Tom, can you tell us a little about the situation at JTM? I know you guys are deemed an essential business. Can you just give a little bit of backstory of, what does JTM do, and then also what's kind of happening in the coronavirus times?
Yes, JTM is a major national manufacturer of food products. We are deemed an essential production facility for the United States. We manufacture food that goes to the educational sector, the restaurant sector, as well as the retail sector. So with many people hunkering down at homes in this time, many of our retail business is really taking off. And so we're trying to replenish those products for the retail consumer.
Yeah, that's great. So give us a little bit of a rundown of the plant layout, communications, and what's kind of what's been your policy since all this has happened. What's changed?
Probably the biggest thing for us was we basically self-quarantine. We have 3 different facilities, which normally employees go back and forth. We basically said, no, everybody has to stay in their exact positions. So even office employees could not go out to the manufacturing facilities, nor could the manufacturing employees come up to the office areas. So each of the 3 facilities had their own shelter in place, basically, instructions, and makes communications a little difficult during this time. But we also did a temping environment where we have a drive-through every morning. People get temperature checked before they go out to their work assignments, and then if anybody temps high, then we have a nurse that's checking in with them and following up on them, and those folks are not allowed into the facility. So some really good things. Most employees want to continue to work, and the other thing we've allowed employees to make the choice for themselves. So those people who feel very safe in coming to work, that's fine, they come to work, but using our previous stop work authority, the employees who don't feel comfortable coming to work, we have a process where they can use their PTO time and leave time and allow them to be off work during this time. So either way, whichever works for the employees, we've allowed that to happen.
Are you worried about anyone abusing that?
No, we have a fantastic workforce. The people that have selected to stay at home have mostly very legitimate reasons. They have maybe a high-risk spouse, a high-risk child, and they don't want to risk coming to work and then bringing something home to them. So that's a different situation than maybe somebody who lives in rural Indiana, single person who doesn't have those same high-risk situations at home. They may feel very comfortable coming to work. So the key thing is that everybody in our organization knows how important it is to provide the food for our economy for so many people that are sheltered at home, that they really need the products that we make.
Yeah, that's true. And for those who don't know, JTM makes most of the foods for a lot of school districts in the United States, as well for the military and nursing homes. Is that correct? As well as one of your big clients. So pretty much, the whole gambit of the nation, they're providing food services to them. Kurt had a question for you, Tom. What is your biggest challenge right now today?
In terms of what?
In terms of either communication or dealing with remote work.
Communications, we've had a new process put in place. We probably were a little bit slow off the gun because we were trying to put all these Corona processes in place, but now we have a daily update every day. We're recognizing some of the heroes, some of our sanitation workers who have really done a phenomenal job in sanitizing the facility and making the other employees aware of those sanitation efforts so that they can feel more comfortable in their work environment, that it's getting some extra sanitation during this critically difficult time.
That's great. And then Doug wanted to ask as well, and I know this is not necessarily your preview, but how are you connecting with clients? Is your sales team having any difficulties now, or what's been the challenges as far as communication between your team and clients?
No, our sales force is really doing a great job. They're staying connected with our clients. We have some big clients, national restaurant chains. Our employees are still working on that development pipeline for them. We also have a very strong customer service team. They're out there still making calls, connecting with customers, because they all know that as soon as this comes open, there's going to be a lot of opportunities and a lot of new projects that are coming on board for our restaurant clients and also for some of our school systems. We've got some great things in the pipeline, and we're looking forward to sharing that with those teams. And as we move forward, we want to be positioned in a great position to share the JTM products that are just fantastic products with the various sectors. Like I said, the retail, the school restaurants, and the schools have got some great new products coming out, and we're going to be there for them, and we're going to have a real nice process moving forward. But our sales team is working fantastic, as our marketing team is, and our customer service, to keep in contact with our customers, because you can't stop that. That has to continue, and that has to be the lifeblood of our future, is those relationships.
Great. Kurt, another question. Is your facility running at full capacity, or have you scaled back production in any way?
That's a very good question. Obviously, our production volumes are down in many ways, but we still are able to, since we freeze our products, we have a huge freezer warehouse that we can put a lot of our products into. So we are scaled back a little bit, but not as much as you would think. And we have reconfigured some of our production lines to make sure that the retail products right now are very, the grab and go type of products are very much in demand. So we're working and adding new lines and moving some productions from our existing lines over to some new product lines that are more retail focused. So not to the same scale that we made in the past. Our shipping volume is not as high as it has been in the past. The one thing that's been phenomenal, though, is the Moss family, who owns the company, has made a commitment to the employees that they want to be in business, and they know that the core of that business is built on the great employees that we have. So they know that coming out of this, we need to rely on those folks. And so the ownership has decided that they're not laying off anybody, and they are committed to making sure that these folks have work, and that they're going to be the core and the backbone for us moving forward.
Yeah, sounds great. So I guess two questions, two in one. So as far as communicating with your employees, managing the staff, engaging, motivation, coaching, training, that sort of type thing. I think, generally, how are you guys handling that? And then more specifically, I know you in particular, you are now sitting away from at least one of your direct reports. They're in a different plant right now. So two questions. One is, how is JTM handling it generally? And then two, specifically to your role, how is the HR department handling y'all's internal communications?
Yeah, one of the things we've done is we've had a hiring freeze on, so we're not bringing on anybody. It's too risky to bring employees in our normal interview sessions. We also do tours of the facility. We do orientations for everybody. So that part is too risky to bring people in. So we've kind of gone on to a hiring freeze. Good news is we haven't lost hardly anybody, and we have a lot of people that are actually looking actively at work. And that's one of the things that really has put JTM in a great spot, is a lot of these employers are out right now, and people are on the unemployment lines. They're seeing JTM as such an essential part of the food chain and essential business for our United States, that we're getting a lot of phone calls, a lot of interest from employees who would like to come to work for JTM.
Makes sense. And then for you particularly, as far as communicating between your internal team, between the plants.
Yeah, we basically have regular meetings. Most of those now are some form of telephone conferencing. We're doing a lot of telephone conferencing calls, Zoom meetings, things of that nature. We're also trying to position ourselves well for the future. We have a lot of projects that are in the pipeline that we look to launch. One of the things that we're going to be doing is a lot more coaching for employees, a lot more recognition. Those are two things that we found that are going to be very critical to our future moving forward. We use a Click 360 product from Ulini that helps us. And we found that we had in the past used discipline. And now we're moving away from discipline to coaching, and really only disciplining in what I call critical situations. If somebody fails to lock out a piece of equipment, obviously that is a very serious thing, which could even result in termination. But most of the conversations we want to be positive, upbeat, and focused on improving skills rather than being punitive. So we've gone through a few coaching sessions here, and remotely we talk back and forth about the situations that we would have normally talked about face to face, and then we execute those situations. But the coaching is something we really are doing a really good job on. And I think that through these difficult times, the thing that's been very impressive is how much recognition our hourly associates are getting, because people are really realizing frontline, where the rubber meets the road, these employees are fabulous. They're just coming to work, they're rolling up their sleeves, getting things done, and they're doing things that are just fabulous, and everybody's taking notice of those things. So we're trying to share some of those success stories on a daily basis with our JTM hero stories, and very, very well accepted throughout the organization. So I think this whole thing has brought us closer together and really a better appreciation for the value of each individual and their contributions.
That sounds great. Thank you. Appreciate that. Doug, you have any questions for Tom?
Yeah, a couple. So one of the things you touched on was within regards to your external communication. It sounds to me like your teams are putting a priority on building and maintaining relationships. And so could you elaborate a little more on that?
Are you saying external or internal, Doug?
Your external communication. So your sales, your marketing, your customer service. It sounded like you were getting to that they're really focused on those relationships and building those. And could you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, I think that the key thing is we've got a lot of projects that are in the pipeline. A lot of the business success of our customers are really our success too. Our future is going to be built on those relationships and being able to make sure that the products are formulated correctly, that they're marketed correctly and priced correctly, and all those kind of relationships that we have to have ongoing conversations with our customers. Those don't stop. We can't just put things in neutral and put it in park for 3 months and then expect those projects to take off when things get good. So we've been working on those, and we understand that those are very critical to our future. And so we've been keeping those relationships on a regular basis, daily, weekly conversation calls. And many of the projects are managed. We have a wonderful person. She's in charge of our VP of marketing and strategy. And she helps, with that, as well as our sales teams. And the sales teams are very much focused on our customers and keeping their needs at the front and center of all we do.
Excellent.
Awesome. So, Doug, I guess we'll pass it off to you now. That's a great segue into thinking about external communications. And I think one of the main points here is that obviously we have to utilize technology in order to communicate in these remote times. But at the same time, your messaging needs to be very human. You need to be very empathetic. This is definitely employee first, customer first, us together first. And I think that's one big critical component here is that JTM is showing is that they understand the value of their people and how critical they are to not only the production today but the production tomorrow. So making sure that we continue to build our relationships both internally and externally and be as human as possible, I think is a very critical component there.
Yeah, and first thing I want to say, just kudos to the Moss family and the whole JTM group, not laying people off. Taking that approach. I mean, that's just outstanding. I mean, that's going to do wonders, not just for now, but for the future of JTM. People are going to look at you guys and just you're admirable at this point. So many people are laying off. So many companies are laying off, and you guys have drawn the line in the sand, and so you're not crossing it. So kudos to everybody at JTM for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so external communication, I think, Tom mentioned it. He nailed it. Right now, it's about making communication that matters, connections that matter, and building those relationships and keeping the connection going. You can't, this isn't a time to be doing hardcore selling, but you can't stop because right now we've got to be focused on developing our relationships, both with existing customers and with future customers. Someday this is going to end, hopefully soon, and projects are going to happen. We've got to stay in front of our customers in a meaningful way. So focus on adding value, showing empathy, keeping those connections alive and going, and keeping the conversations as going as best you can. But I think, Nick, you just nailed it a little bit. It's really difficult to do one-on-one when you're trying to get to a large audience and stay in front of them. So one of the things we've been doing is really using our Reach platform so that we can create those personal, direct to individual conversations through text. And then when they reply, it comes right into a chat room. So we've got a whole group of people that are there looking at it, and they can see, how the communication is going. So in terms of what's working best, I found that email isn't great right now, and email hasn't been great for a long time. Calling is a little tough. You are calling to their cell phones most likely, but if they're not used to receiving calls from you, they may not pick up. What I have found that's been working, and I've been doing a lot of testing, or we've been doing a lot of testing, is a simple text message. First message, find out how they're doing, stay connected, and slowly start to build up towards maybe something that can happen down in the future. But, it's really about, getting to them personally. I think the text is working great, but it does have to be a personal message. I have found that, as soon as if you go too early into a sales pitch, you get shut down. So right now it's about making meaningful connection, building that relationship. Think about, your future 6 weeks from now, 6 months from now, building those connections so that when that time comes, you're the one who they're remembering that was in front of you.
Great. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. I think, again, the whole key takeaway there is to, remain as human as possible with that barrier of entry. We're also finding too that, now obviously is the time for us to come together and to really figure out what all of our challenges are. I think that's another big thing to take away is whether it's your internal communication or your external communication. One of the main things that we need to be focusing on is what is causing issues, whether that is issues with coaching, issues with training, issues with tracking the performance of their, of the team. Is it timing issues? What all of us are experiencing something a little bit different now, and we want to be really cognizant of all these changes that are happening and trying to figure out how can we best serve everyone around us. And I think that's a really, a key component here is our communication strategies aren't necessarily selfish. They're really there to help bring together individuals and communicate in a meaningful way.
Yeah, I think what you just said is really pertinent. Don't be selfish. Think about the other person. What are they going through right now? Are they trying? They're also trying to reach out and stay connected. So if we're demanding of them, we're not helping them. We're adding to the problem. So how can you help? How can you add value? Those are the keys right now.
I think that's a great note to end on, Doug. And if there's not any more questions, I think we can end this a little bit early. I think that was a great session. Tom, thanks again for being here with us today and social distancing from us to make sure that we all remain safe and healthy here. Guys, if you have any other questions and you guys want to reach out to either of us, it's nick@ulimidoes.com. That's ULIMIDOES.com. Doug's is the same. That is Doug, DOUG, @ULIMIDOES.com. If you guys have any other questions, would like any other information on remote work, we have tons of packets and information that we could provide. Also, for everyone on this call, we are deciding to move this to Tuesdays at 10 a.m. now. So our next webinar session will be this next Tuesday at 10 a.m. We might have a surprise guest there as well. Thanks again for everything. This has been our first official episode of Cutting Through the Noise. We appreciate your time, and stay safe and be healthy, everyone. Thank you very much.